What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the MindShare podcast. My name is David Greenspan, as you know, and I got to ask you something off the top today. This is an important one. I'm wondering, when was the last time you had a real conversation with somebody in your business? Like I'm talking like a legit real one, not where you're doing a sales pitch or hey, I'm just following up, but like a real conversation. Because right now, at this very moment, we are in a market where a lot of agents are completely struggling. And instead of completely leaning in, a lot of people are talking about the market. They're not doing the things that they need to be doing, even though they know they should be doing. Everybody's overthinking. Everybody's trying to do, it's got to be perfect. But I'll tell you, it doesn't. The other thing we know is that the agents who are actually having success in this market right now, well, they're doing what most people don't do. They're picking up the phone. They're having the conversations. They're doing the prospecting. And I got to say, that's what this business has always been about. But somewhere along the way, and it could be because of the successes, it could be the height of a market, it could be people winning, we lost that whole thing. So today, this is episode number 379. Now, he's not just the president of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. He is a broker owner. He is in the trenches just like everybody else. He's having the same conversations that, we're all really having every single day. And outside of being just a really awesome, down-to-earth dude, what really stands out to me and what stood out to me about this particular episode leading up to this conversation, and it had nothing to do with his title about being the president of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, which is absolutely amazing. Moreover, it was about how he sees this business. He talked about trust. He talked about communication. He talked about what he calls informed empathy. And more importantly, he is not hiding behind tough conversations. He's not hiding from them. He literally told me, ask me anything. So that's exactly where we're going today. Joining me on this episode of the MindShare podcast is the president of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, Daniel Steinfeld. Mr. President,
hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, don't ask me anything. I take it back. Ask me. No, I'm kidding. Hit me with it all. Hit me with it all.
We are certainly going to do that today, man. No, it's awesome. It's a pleasure having you. I know you came off of a very busy morning as well. But I'm excited to dive into this conversation with you today. I think that there's going to be a lot people can learn. And I know when you and I have, some of our, just one-on-one combos, a lot of them are just very real. A lot of them are very down to earth. And I think that is refreshing. I also think it's refreshing. Well, I mean, we'll get into this stuff because I think a lot of the combos we've had shows where your heart is for this business. And that means something. And I know for me, that means something. And I've been playing this game now professionally for 20 years. I've gotten to know a lot of people in the industry. There's a lot of people that shouldn't be in the industry. But then there's a small few that really do care and do a great job. And my man, even before, you came to the show or, got the new role that you're in for this year, where I've thought about you and what you bring to the table in this industry, man. And it means a lot. So again, it's very exciting to have you on today.
No, likewise, I think, I want to believe it's not a small a minority that care, but it might be a minority who are out there and engaging enough to let people know. And you're definitely one of those who is a strong voice in this community that represents what's right. And so likewise, appreciate this and all the conversations we can have, because we need more people who are in it for the right reasons, talking about it and being out there, not afraid to share the gospel of good real estate.
Ain't that the truth, man? No, I'm looking forward to that. And now, like, I sort of alluded to this a moment ago, but as you and I were texting, getting ready for this and sort of all the back and forth we were doing, there was one particular thing that I thought it stuck out to me. It stood out to me. It was one particular word, but you said, when I asked you about your goal, you said that the goal coming out of this was refreshment. And, you want people to rethink what they expect from the people they trust. You want people to rethink what trust actually is. And you tied that into how you operate, again, informed empathy, the golden rule stuff. And I love that because I know, and I think right now that a lot of people in this business have lost that. We've talked about integrity in the past, and I've mentioned that to you where it's bothered me that we haven't got that. A lot of people made it about the money and about the transactions. And look, to everybody listening, and I've said this many times before on big stages and even one-to-ones, I love money. Let's talk more about money. Let's go make all the money in the world. I got no problem with it. But when it's just about the money and it's not about the people, I think we've lost what our role is in this business. So I thought I'd start there with you today.
Yeah.
And before getting into like titles and roles and all that stuff, you know, it's funny. I was going to ask you, like, who are you when you're not the president of TRREB? And one thing I saw last night or this morning on the Instagram was you're a drummer and you play some wicked tunes on the drums, which was very cool. But seriously speaking, Dan, when you're not president of TRREB, who is Daniel Steinfeld?
I mean, honestly, I say the same. I'm just a guy. I'm like anybody. I think I'm fortunate to have this role and to be able to use it, I think, for good. But I mean, I'm a dad of 4 kids. I'm a husband to someone who is way better than I am, and I'm just lucky to be in her orbit.
She's awesome.
But I'm someone who really tries to glass half full everything, even in the worst of circumstances. I used to be more of an analysis paralysis sort of person. I come from a finance background. I come from working for a football team for 10 years. I've been fortunate to have a lot of very unique experiences with a lot of very unique people. And with that, like with anybody, I think it just shapes the way we look at the world. And so I've also had the good fortune to be surrounded by a lot of good people who have shown me what it means to do good and how that comes back to you. And conversely, the impact that not being so good can have on certain people and the way that not just they're perceived, but what lands up coming back to them. To your point, I mean, whether your goal is money or whatever it is, I think you need to come from a place of a good foundation and mindset, as you obviously are a huge advocate of, in order to get where you're going. You don't just go there without being more conscious of who you are and what you're trying to achieve, and really of those around you, because they're all part of the journey with you. So I'd like to believe I'm someone who cares, just kind of full stop, right? Sometimes to a fault. Sometimes that's where I fall flat, as I think a little bit too much about what other people think sometimes, but I do that with a goal of getting everybody to a happy place. Like, I do believe, we've talked about this. I don't believe in absolutes on almost anything, but I do believe there's a possibility that everybody can actually be in a positive place, right? But it takes a big reset and a big refresh, like you were mentioning, to get there.
Well, and I was gonna go there right there and kind of come back to that whole refresh part, because that's what you said the goal was refreshment. I guess how what does that actually mean?
Well,
how do you see that?
The world, the profession, people are in a crappy spot. You mentioned that, and I think my goal as president now is I'm not blind to perception that's associated with this profession, with this organization, arguably with my role, arguably with me, just by virtue of taking this seat. And you don't talk at people to get what you want. You don't tell people where you're going without first grounding them in a place where you can build that trust. And so for me, whether it takes the first 3 months, 6 months, or my entire term to get this organization on track from a trust perspective and resetting the narrative about what we represent and where we're all trying to go, and hopefully, refreshing like a button on a computer, basically reloading things, but also hopefully being refreshing to people, that I and TRREB and the profession itself is not a bad thing. And you need to first gain that trust and let people understand that there's a discussion that we're all in. And I spent my whole morning doing that today. I'm sure we could talk about that. Like, today was the 3rd of 3 town halls with our membership. I'm still here. I just got off stage, and that is and will continue to be the only message for me. And it's a win this year. If even coming out of this year, we're just at a bit of a sort of base zero position that can be built upon. That's a win, because I do think this profession and the way we treat each other and subsequently the opinions we create with the narratives that we build in our heads set us up for failure, and how we communicate, and ultimately how our would-be clients, this consumer, and everyone we deal with look at us, right? So if we can't address our own worst enemy narrative, how can you expect the rest of the world and the media and whatever stakeholders we have, to look at us through a positive lens if we're not doing that ourselves?
Definitely not an easy task or an easy conversation to have, and certainly not something where, and as a big baseball guy, batting 1,000 is next to impossible. You might get that on your first AB, but like as the ABs mount up, batting 1,000 is again one of those things that just doesn't happen in baseball. And so where do I parallel that is, as we're trying to bring people together, we're not going to get them all, and we try, and having that right approach is exactly the starting point, though, to do our very best to be able to bring that together, and without that, we're already at odds. We're already in a different spot, and we're already putting ourselves behind because we're not doing it. So, the other thing that, again, and I sort of, kind of brought this up off the top, I wanted to give an opportunity to address it, was the line about informed empathy. And I guess asking you maybe, and you might have just talked to that, Dan, but breaking that down a little further and what really that means to you. No? Dan seems to be frozen on us at the moment. My man, if you can hear us, okay, he's out. He'll be right back. But we are in the moment, in the middle right now of having a conversation with the president of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, Mr. Daniel Steinfeld. He's taken on this new role. He's been in the industry for a long time, runs a brokerage, and is just an absolutely awesome down to earth individual. And I think that the conversation we're having today, which very much, comes back to the way I've titled the show, even, is why trust is broken in real estate and how agents can fix it. A big part to this today is really to even dive into that, all of us together, and be able to have that conversation around what is going on in this industry. Why is the industry, changed so drastically? Why do people have differences of opinions or different views on the way they look at things? And I mean, everybody's always going to have different views. It's not always going to be where everybody's going to be in the same boat or everybody's going to agree with each other. But the realities is when you got somebody at the helm who really cares about that, that person is going to help make a difference. And so, Daniel, you're certainly making that difference. And I know, all good, man. Tech is tech. It's good to go. We've been through this a few times, and I've done this a couple
I would
times.
Suspect 379 episodes. Yeah, I would imagine I'm not the first, but apologies nonetheless.
Don't worry about that,
I blame the Toronto Congress Center wireless. There you go. So
I thought about
maybe
the same
we'll
thing.
move Realtor Quest.
I go, this poor guy is sitting in a he just came out of a town hall. He's sitting in a conference room at a conference center. And trust me, I've tried to do like Wi-Fi and internet from those before. Even last year at Realtor Quest, the day that I was on stage to speak, earlier that morning, I had a group I had to train, and my team and I actually coordinated a hotel down the road because we just didn't trust the Congress Center to give us what we needed for the 2 hours. Anyways,
we're good now. We're good. But
I don't know if you heard the whole question there just before it froze, but I was sort of coming back to that informed empathy part, and just because that meant something. But asking you to sort of break that down a little bit further. What does that mean to you?
Well, you need to. You sort of touched on it when you said golden rule. I mean, you need to feel what the other person is feeling to be able to have a meaningful conversation. And if you're a White Men Can't Jump fan, there was a line in that movie where Wesley Snipes says, "You hear me, but you ain't listening." That's his line. And to me, that's where I think a lot of people fall short. It's not enough to ask a question and to let somebody answer, or you need to really listen, and you need to ask more questions if you're not understanding what the other person is feeling and you're not able to put yourself in the shoes of the person you're talking to. And that's really with any decision. That's not TRREB president decisions. That's the way you live your life. That's the way you talk to clients. That's the way you talk to family. You make the best decisions for yourself and on behalf of others when you really understand the environment you're in. And so in some cases, that means reading the room. In some cases, that means slowing down a bit before you jump into a decision. But all the times it means taking your own hat off for just a second and putting yourself in someone else's environment and situation to make sure that, not necessarily just the decisions you're making, but even just the words you're using and the approach you take to get where you want to go. Right? It's not about serving everyone else to your own detriment. It's working in something together, finding commonalities, establishing differences, and accepting those. Right?
Accepting, that's a big word.
Yeah, that's where a lot of us continue to fall flat. I think at an increasing scale right now, is it's becoming harder and harder to accept the opinions and the disagreements of others. Right? We might let them say it, we might read it, but we don't have to agree. There is a big difference between accepting and agreeing, but in order to have a real conversation and to move anything forward, you need to acknowledge and accept that there are people out there who are going to have a different opinion than yours, in as big or as small an issue. This isn't just wars and political and global, like this is down to the how do I price my home. Right? This is down to my kid doesn't want burgers for dinner. Right? Like, which is not a thing. That was a bad example. Maybe not broccoli. But
so here, where do you think, if you looked at it right now and said, and I know where you're coming into this whole role from. I knew that from prior and just where your head was at. Where do you think trust is broken right now when we look at the industry as a whole?
I think it's not helpful the way people use social media for bad versus for good. I don't think conversations are really conversations in the traditional sense. I think people talk at each other. People want to make statements and walk away. People don't want to consider that the truth might be something different than what they believe. And that's a really dangerous thing, and it catches fire because all it takes is one or two or three people to share your thought process to reaffirm that you are unequivocally right and there is no other truth. And it's dangerous because there's value in supporting one another. So I'm not suggesting you shouldn't agree with those with whom you agree with. It's just when the byproduct of that is dismissing all else around you, it creates an environment where you're completely hamstrung and you move farther and farther away from all those that don't share the same truth as you. So when I said earlier, I don't believe in absolutes, pick your issue, right? I think in any contentious issue, there's validity to what everybody's saying. The dials are turned a little bit more and less on each side of the fence. But to say that because I'm right, you have to be wrong, I think is wrong. I think that is not right.
I wish everybody could hear that and really allow that to sink in. I think that you nailed it when you brought up the social media. I think that in a society consumption, as much as we consume and as much as we look at what other people are doing, and then we look at the fact that AI is what it is these days, and it's almost impossible now to tell what's real and what's not. Yep. When people are passing judgment based on the first video they see or the first comment they see or the first opinion they have, and that's their absolute, they're doing themselves and the people around them a disservice.
Right.
And it doesn't give us that ability to have informed conversations and informed empathy.
Correct.
And be able to solve things. And I think that in of itself is a huge problem we've got in today's society. And that's where that whole word trending comes from. There's so much that's trending out there and people don't do enough to go and say, wait a second, let me just get that second opinion, or let me dive deeper, or let me have that conversation. I mean, when you brought up, people say something and run away, to me, I call them keyboard ninjas.
Right.
So many of these people would never do that to somebody's face. And we see it. I mean, we're seeing it with kids in school. Right? That whole cyberbullying. Most of these people would never say something to somebody's face if the opportunity to get punched in the face was real.
That's right.
But now because of these, the computers and the emails and the social, everybody's doing it. And I'm tired of seeing it in this industry. I'm tired of it. And that's why I've been as forthcoming with the way I speak and what I say to people, and how I call people out sometimes, and nobody directly, but more of us as an industry. And it's exactly that. It's listening to what's going on and going, hey, we can be better, and we need to be better together in order to be better for everybody out there.
That's right.
Like, do you think that agents have lost sight about of what this business is actually about? And I cannot say that as a blanket statement of 100% of agents. And I want to make sure everybody tuned in understands that, because I know there's some people sitting there going, I haven't, and I'm not saying you have. So please, nobody take me out of context there. But I also know that people listening to this who do have the right head on their shoulders will be in agreement with me that there are too many that do not.
It goes without saying that. I mean, in fairness, what is important to one person is not important to another. So I don't think people have lost sight of what's important to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in terms of what's important to move us all in the right direction, and why people, I think, air quotes, should be focused on their job and what service and value we bring, I think gets diluted, is a nice way of putting it, but I could be more aggressive than that. But it gets diluted by the need for attention, by valuing clicks over doing what's right. I think it dollars to a large degree, people put their ethics and their best judgment on the back burner sometimes out of desperation or out of prioritizing the wrong thing at the wrong time, right? And again, situations dictate different decisions for people. And sometimes, again, if I'm not in their shoes, I don't know what drives people to sometimes make what in my view would be the wrong, misinformed decision. But when it impacts others in a negative way, then it's the wrong decision, right? Like, absolutely, there's a greater good. And sometimes you're forced to make decisions that piss some people off for the best outcome. But we have a duty in this industry, and people rely on us as professionals. And when this and other professions are under continued scrutiny, and all it takes is one or two bad apples to ruin it for all of us, I think there are people out there who are kind of saying, well, one other person did this. How is it so bad if I do something less bad to get my deal done, right? Or if I compromise my integrity just this once so that my post can go viral, right? Absolutely. There's people out there who have forgotten what this is about, and maybe just forgotten why they as individuals got into it in the first place, right? Because I think you're right. What you're putting there, it might not be what's important to me isn't important to them, but what was important to them, I think, has gone by the wayside for a lot of people, but out of desperation.
And look, I would say at the same time too, we want to be empathetic. I can respect and appreciate desperation. I really can. Life is not easy. It's not cheap. It's only getting more expensive, and it seems to only be getting crazier right now. So I can respect it. I really can. What I can't, though, is when we start to go the wrong way about the way we do things, and we do it with no sense in mind about who it impacts, how it impacts, the reflection that it will have on, never mind just us as individuals, but as us as an industry. Because I do think it takes a village. We know it takes a village. They say it takes a village, and it certainly does. And for everybody tuned in right now, and we got a lot of people that are lives on the Instagrams watching, I can see, and Facebook and YouTube, and it takes a village, and we are the village people. We're not the village people. That sounded really
I wish
bad.
I was the village
That
people.
sounded really bad.
Could I be the fireman?
We are the village. Like, it's us. And if we don't do it together, how's it going to get better? And I know what ends up happening now. Some people sit back and go, well, I try, but they don't. So why should I bother? Well, that's like, don't throw your garbage on the street. And it's like, well, everybody else does. Well, yeah, but if each one of us can kind of actually control what we do, maybe we'll have less garbage on the street, or maybe we'll have more trust. In fact, on that word of trust, what would you say real trust looks like between an agent and a client today? How would you define that? That
trust from a client?
Yeah, between the two of them. You're trying to earn that trust. You're trying to build that. You're trying to have that. Is it just, hey, they hired you and they said, hey, you get, I signed the listing with you, or is it so much deeper than that?
Yeah, no, it needs to be deeper than that. If all we have to rely on is the paperwork we put in front of someone, and our access to a lockbox, and our ability to do a CMA, then we've failed at what people are putting their trust in us for. I think it's a social contract more than it is a real estate contract. This is our ability to be handed the keys to somebody's life, very literally. And that's not, that's not meant to sound as weirdly metaphorical and symbolic as it is, but yes, we talk about but it is. It's literally life-changing decisions where people are putting that trust in us when we earn it to guide them on how to make the best decision in their situation. And if we don't take the time and show genuine compassion for what their situation is, it's not just about how many bedrooms do you need, right? Or, how big a backyard is important to you. It's what is your situation? What brought you here and what's important to you? Where do you want to be? What's the next step? Where are you coming from? Like the more we can ingrain ourselves in the reason that someone has reached out to us or anybody else in the first place, or not. If you cold called someone, that doesn't mean that you don't have to earn their trust anymore. Even more so, it's incumbent upon you to equip yourself with as much information as possible, because your trust is not guaranteed. It's not something that you just get by getting them to sign a contract. It's something you earn over time, and it pays dividends over time. And it's not one way, right? Obviously, I guess as salespeople and as realtors, it's very important to us, and it's crucial to have the trust of the people who are hiring us and who are working with us. But it's still a two-way street. We want to be able to trust the people we're working with so that we know that we're equipped to make the best decision for them, right? And that we're not looking over our shoulders in what is deemed a cutthroat industry to some, right? I've been in open houses where people have come in with their realtors, and the moment the client had an opportunity, they'd come to me hosting the open house saying, if you give me a better deal, I'll rip up my contract with this guy.
Wow.
Right? Now, obviously not the norm, but it's indicative of the requirement and the importance of having trust that goes both ways with our relationships. And if we haven't earned it, then we don't deserve it. And I would argue if we haven't and can't earn the trust of our clients, then you really don't deserve the client, right? Because then what are we there for? There are, in this market, in TRREB alone, there's 70,000 individuals, and we'd all love a bigger client base. We all want, the tangible things, the leads, the money, all of that. And we have to work for it, and you have to do the things, and you've got to listen to David and do the things he tells you to do.
I couldn't agree with that part more.
100%. But the road doesn't end once the pen hits the paper, right? It's just beginning. That has now afforded you the opportunity to have a lifelong relationship. And that only happens if you have the ability to take it to the next level and build the trust and continue that growing over time, because trust isn't finite either. You don't get it and it's there. You get it and then you work on it.
And you can't buy it.
Can't buy it.
Takes time to earn it.
That's right.
It takes about a millisecond to lose it.
That's 100%. And that is, it ties into the reset that I'm in right now. That's why events like today took place, right? Yeah, there might be 69,000 of the 70,000 members of TRREB who love what we're doing or are apathetic to it, don't care. But if there are 100, 200, 500 who have an issue, simply saying they represent a small enough subset of our membership that will let them talk, but they don't merit an answer, is fuel to ruin the entire organization and to set us back years in the trust we have of everybody. And so days like today and campaigns like this, which are effectively just an opportunity for people to feel heard and to actually understand that something's going to be done about it and that there's accountability, that is what builds trust. And it starts with resetting people's thoughts, right? As realtors, when you go cold with somebody, you have the benefit of having a clean slate out of the gate for the most part, right? You don't knock on someone's door and they say, I can't trust you, right? But they also don't trust you yet. When you enter a situation and someone is coming in from a place of mistrust, you need to reset them back to a baseline so you can build on it, right? You don't go from -1 to 1. You've got to go to 0.
This is where my brain keeps going as you're saying all this is, and this comes back to some of the stuff that I talk to everybody right now about with AI. and how we're tapping into that. We're using it to send out emails, write content, do stuff for us, and just assuming that everything is good. Whereas when we sit there and think to ourselves, but hey, we're now disconnecting ourselves from the whole picture. Then I also think, and again, as you were talking, another thought was, well, here's a reason why you do hear a lot of the people that are out there as homeowners say, well, what do I need a realtor for? Why should she or he get paid that much money for what? They're just pencil pushers.
Exactly.
Well, this is us resetting the narrative.
Yep. It's a tipping point now. I think it's always, but this more than ever with AI. And it's funny I say tipping point. Plug for Malcolm Gladwell, who's one of the keynotes alongside you at Realtor Quest, who wrote the tipping point.
Look at that. That one is okay. That one's it. We got to talk about that one on the sidebar.
We will get there, absolutely. But this is one of those moments where we, in this and every profession, need to choose a lane, right? AI is happening. AI is a tool that should and can be leveraged for the right reasons. But if we start to think that it can replace and should replace us in our day-to-day, in the things that aren't completely automated and mundane, then we are legitimizing what you just said. Then consumers do have a right to wonder why they need us. Because why do they need us? If we can click a button and say to our computer, let me know when the deal's done, right? Or let me know when they've signed the BRA, then what value are we bringing, right? Then they should just hire the AI.
Well, but this is what it comes back to, empathy, trust, communication. I mean, this is it right here, because one thing we know is that the human brain, no matter how much AI can serve up answers very quickly, AI is not operating off of emotion. Typically speaking, if you use AI enough, you know that if you say to it, hey, I'm thinking about what color to wear today, and it's like, you should wear green. You're like, actually, I was thinking blue. And it's like, that was a great choice. Blue is the right color. You're like, I'm thinking black. Blue was great, but black is really your color.
That's right.
And it's like, well, wait a second. We're making decisions and we're doing things based on that. And, again, does that prove our value? Now, if we, as we extend that part of the conversation and think, if we bring this down to the ground level and we think about the agents picking up phones right now, and I hope to everybody tuned in, you're picking up the phone. And if you're not picking up the phone and you want to tell me all the excuses in the world about why you're not picking up the phone, I'm going to challenge you right now to go back to your past 90 days of deals. In fact, I'll challenge you to go back to your past 365 days of deals and ask yourself where the most of them came from. And if you do say that most of them came from either repeat and or referral business, I'm going to call that group one business. That is a result of active conversations, just like Daniel and I are having right now, two real people talking to real conversation in real time. That's where relationships are formed. That's where trust is built. And I'm going to encourage everybody to go back to that. Now, in saying that, to continue the question, for them who are picking up the phones, what should those intentions be when they pick up the phone? Instead of, well, let me do it that way. What should that intention be right now? What would you say to people like, one, make your calls, but two, somebody said to me the other day, and I'm making this question very long, but somebody said to me the other day, they said, Dave, I don't know what to say to people right now because there's not a lot of positive to share with them. And I used to be really positive, but now I'm sharing a lot of negative, and I don't think people want to hear negative. And I said, well, they want reality. They want somebody they could trust.
Yep.
What would you say? What should those intentions be, Dan?
I want to assume that anyone picking up the phone and anyone in this industry is already equipped with the knowledge you need to do the job right. So park that for a minute and know that your tools are with you when you need them, but approach these conversations to learn, to listen, and with an actual interest in the person that you're talking to. They pick up on that. And I don't want you to find out their life story, but I want you to approach it talking with someone rather than talking at someone. Because the moment you call someone with an agenda and they feel it out of the gate, that right out of the gate, you're saying, can I tell you about the market? And can I tell you about all the homes on your street that sold and what the average price is and interest rates this and interest rates that? That's all knowledge that will come out. It's knowledge you've got. And I can understand how all of us are just eager to be the first one to tell somebody, right? You want to be the one that informed the person on the other side of the line that you are the smartest realtor out there and they need to hire you. But if you approach it with the perspective that and they will know or might already think and assume that you're smart enough to know those things, then what's going to differentiate you from the other person who knocks on their door, if there is one? And to David's point, you might be the only one who's picking up the phone, which will win you, right out of the gate. But there's more people out there. And where you differentiate is not going to be on the interest rate announcement. It's going to be on your genuine interest in situations. It's your ability to connect the stuff you know to the conversation you're having, right? So if you're talking to someone and you can learn anything about their living situation, about the number of kids they have, about their favorite restaurant, what's working, what's not working, whatever. Take the conversation where it's going to go, right? You're not calling as the friendly neighborhood person who just wants to learn about someone and they don't know you're in real estate. Like, I'm not saying you're just a creep who's calling and asking someone to give you their life story. But once they know what you do and have a very high level of why you're calling, you need to get the narrative to learning about them. Because why put more meat on a bone that hasn't been defined yet if you're taking them in completely the wrong, misinformed direction? Because they don't give a shit about what school is, good in the area that's over there when they don't have any kids and you never asked, or their kids have already moved out and they have no intention of having more, right? You don't want to overflow information that might not be relevant. You want to be able to drill down to specifically where they're at, what's important to them, and that shows them that you're listening, builds their trust, because now you're not just a salesperson, you're actually along with them for the journey and talking about stuff that matters, and you're not wasting time, yours or theirs. I ran a lot. You can cut me off.
No. You know what? Because it's funny. I was going to ask you just there, like, where do you think we're getting it wrong as an industry on a daily basis? And I mean, as you were saying that, I seriously, I pictured myself getting door knocked.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to say too, by the way, as you mentioned door knock, and then you said something about, phone calls, you might be the only person doing the phone call. And I thought to myself, if you're door knocking, you're probably the only person doing the door knock. And I would tell everybody right now a stat that I've shared for years, and it continues to hold true. And this is my own R&D. So you want to fact check, just ask me and I'll tell you this is the truth. 96% of agents don't door knock. Of the 4% who do, 99% of them see business. So, you may not like it, but I'm going to tell you all, it works.
Yep.
In saying that, what it brought me to was somebody coming to my house to door knock me and having zero thought of asking me any questions or learning about me, but instead wanting to tell me and BS me that they've got a buyer from my house and, they want to know if I want to sell. Problem is that, and I understand you're not going to research every single homeowner before you knock on their door, but I would suggest and challenge anybody, if you're, anywhere in my vicinity, you better figure out if you're coming to my door, because if you got the wrong lines, I'm going to call you on it. And not to be, forgive the French, an asshole about it. Moreover, to say that, you're going to tell me you got a buyer, I'm going to ask you some tough questions. And if you haven't got the answers for it, you're not building trust.
Right.
And so it's like, if you're sitting there going, well, Dave, like, well, what would you do? First of all, there's obviously a lot more role playing and scripting we can do on that to get you to practice, but I don't want you going there with the script, and I don't want you going there, thinking you're role playing with something. I want you going there and saying to yourself, I'm going to ask some questions and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to find out a little bit more about these people. And at like the forefront of it all, I'm going to just work to establish like a relationship. Like, I'm here, and like, I just want you to know I'm a resource and I can add value and help you. And yeah, down the road, if like we want to do something and buy and sell and whatever, I'll be here for you. But I just, like, at the forefront of it all, like, I'm here and I'm helpful.
Absolutely.
And I think as we do that,
I want to add one thing too, because I think one really important point people don't give enough credit to is embracing the pain points. Pay attention to the stuff that pisses people off and don't look at that as a bad thing. Use that to help you in developing the areas where you need to focus to earn trust from people, right? When you run away from the stuff that makes people angry, again, where's your value? Part of our job is addressing pain points. So putting yourself out there to actually learn more about what bothers people, what's not working for people, is one of the best ways to get them to a happy place. Right? If you just double down on the good stuff, I mean, that works sometimes, but you're missing a golden opportunity to build off of the bad stuff.
Listen, nailed it. Okay, nailed it. And it's I think we need to hit home and reinforce that right now in a big way. Is that for everybody tuned in again, as you're thinking to yourself about talking to people, what do I talk to people about? What do I say? All of that stuff. The realities of what's going on in the world and helping people understand that you get what's going on in this market. That's a value add.
For sure.
And people may not want to hear the negative. They may not want to hear the bad. They may not want to hear, like I tell people, like one of the active touch points you should be doing is send a CMA to your clients once a year. Oh, but the market's not good and they're probably down. I'm like, well, probably down. How do you know that? What if they bought 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Are they down or are they still up? And if they bought 3 or 4 years ago and they might be down, do you not think maybe it's important to reach out to them and let them know that and just say, hey, equity's down a little bit. Look, I just want to touch base. Everything good? House financing? Do you need to talk to a mortgage broker? Like, I'm here to be a resource for you.
Exactly.
And too many people think, but it's not going to get me a deal right now, so I'm not going to make it happen. Again, I really truly believe you're missing the point if that's all you're going for is the transaction every time you make the call.
Right.
It cannot be about that, Now, Dan, I wanted to ask you about the role as president. You're in a unique position. You obviously get to see a lot, be privy to a lot more, be there, and there's a reason why you've been elected in this role, right? There's a lot of value you provide, and there's a lot of trust and respect you have, obviously, from your peers and your colleagues to be able to do this. What are, and I know too, and we brought this up earlier about trust, and I think there's a really cool theme to that today. But we brought this up earlier about trust. We talked about people's views and how people are very like, I'm going to talk at you and I'm going to say what I got to say and I'm going to walk away. And whether you agree with me or not, what I say is right. And that's the way it is. I want to take this moment right now, though, as we talk about your role and again, kind of being privy to things. What are agents not seeing from your side of the table? I know that's loaded. I know that's loaded.
Question.
More from a position, though.
And you know what? It's important that I appreciate the question because I think one of the toughest things to drill home with 70,000 members, and we are a small city, and it's in the position I'm in is almost like someone who needs to try my best to take care of a small city. But within that, you've got such a diverse group of stakeholders and opinions where in my seat, you need to understand, like I need to understand that any decision I make is going to be wrong for some people. Mm-hmm. And I need to accept that as someone who wants to make everybody happy. It's not impossible, but there's a way to effectively communicate the decisions so that even those who don't agree can understand. And that's the goal that I've got. And what I'm seeing right now, as an example at a very micro level, just today, there was feedback we heard from a lot of people saying we need more mechanisms to communicate with our membership, to inform them more of the tools that are coming out, to tell them more about, decisions that are being made, what have you, education that's being offered. But then in the same breath, someone else has the feedback saying we need to stop emailing so much and we need to get out of their face and just let them access the MLS and stop bothering me with all this BS, right? And it's not to say there's not an answer, to find a happy medium there and to find ways that we can satisfy both, but it's a very sort of minor but important example of everything that happens in a stakeholder group like this will have a yin and yang to it with different opinions and different perspectives of our membership, right? I spent each of these town halls trying head on to talk about something like the ORWP, the wellness program, the dirty word among many people in our industry. If you don't talk about it, nothing will happen. So it's been talked about a lot. People were asked to ask the question and promised the answer. Again, not a promise that it's the answer you want, but a promise that you're going to be respected enough to get one. And that is a larger example of an issue that divides our membership, right? And divides the industry, right? But that to me, as a global sort of fact of this role and of this large a membership in a tough economy where a lot of people are struggling, a lot of people are angry, a lot of people are being fueled, not just in real estate, but in life, in politics, in whatever, with things that are frustrating. The wrong thing can set somebody off, but the right thing can get them back to appreciating that we're actually all in this together. And it's my job to reinforce and to get us back to a place where 70,000 people understand that, you know what, there is enough business for all of us to eat if we do the job. And it's not the guy next to you's fault that you didn't get a deal if you didn't knock on enough doors, right? Or because you're too angry and you don't realize that you're not gaining people's trust because your attitude is piss poor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not scolding or telling anybody what to do or how to live their life or how to do their business, but I am trying to explain and get people back to a place where if we can learn to not be our own worst enemy, we all move forward together as an organization. And it's my job, and I've been entrusted with a very large responsibility to make some big decisions on behalf of this membership. And I don't take that lightly, but also understanding that no decision is going to universally make everybody happy either. I can only do what I can to get ahead of it, let people know a decision's coming, ask the question and get informed as best I can of what the temperature is on a certain thing, but still try to move the ship forward.
I think the what's the word I'm looking for? Transparency.
It came up a lot today.
But honesty. Look, I think it's very real to sit back and say, I'm going to do my best. And I already walked in understanding, again, to this whole batting 1,000 thing. There's just going to be some people that aren't going to be happy. And it's not that we're not going to try. Because again, I know you and I know where it comes from beyond us being on like a live show right now. I know where it comes from. It comes from the depths of your heart. Like I know. And I feel that when I talk to you about that stuff, right? So it's like, to me, I go, this is the right guy for this role. This is the right guy to take these next 365 days and really try to impact and recognizing legitimately like, hey, I won't get everybody, but I'm certainly going to try. And it's not about they got to think the way I think. It's about having the transparency of the conversation.
It's actually the opposite. I got to think the way they think, really.
But this is the thing, though. It's putting ourselves in their shoes to go, okay, wait a second. Right. I'm a human being. I've got my opinions. Let me step out of my shoes for a moment, step into theirs and go, man, can I see this from the other side of the table for a second? Exactly. And I think to the question that I just asked you, what I'm trying to set up here too is one, be able to pull the answer out of you. Two, is be able to have anybody else who is on the other side of that table, because most 70,000 people are, hey, step into his shoes for a second, see what it looks like from there. Now, just before we go on, I got to take a quick moment to do this before we don't. I want to take a quick commercial break here and make sure that we mention our sponsors and that this episode of the MindShare podcast is brought to you by Kids Keep in Touch Systems, your ultimate marketing and lead generation CRM. If you are in real estate, you need kits. Along with REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier magazine for real estate professionals and industry stakeholders for news, analysis, and commentary on Canadian real estate. While you're listening, make sure you head over to mindshow101.com, grab your free ultimate marketing bundle. If you're ready to grow your business with coaching, training, group training, or want to bring any of what we do with MindShare to your office, please do get in touch. And the final part of this commercial break is to make sure that you do get yourself registered for Realtor Quest 2026. We are going to talk to that momentarily, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be well, last year they topped what they had done the year before, and this year it's about to go even bigger and better. And so it's incredibly, incredibly exciting. Make sure you head on over to, where's that, Realtor Quest? What's the URL there, Dan?
Just go to TRREB.ca. You'll find your way into registering there straight from the site. Home base.
There you go, everybody. Make sure you go to TRREB.ca. Get yourself in that room. It's going to be fantastic. Okay, Dan. So back to this. Okay, we just jumped off, and I kind of just cut us off there as I'd asked you the question about what are they not seeing from your side of the table. I want to roll that into, and we might have kind of covered that, but I want to roll that into what do you think agents misunderstand most about TRREB
as an organization?
Yeah,
I think where TRREB has I don't want to say lost our way, but I think where this misconception has gone down the wrong road is that it's an us and them situation, that TRREB is an entity that is separate from its members. And that is a real problem if that's what's thought out there. Because first of all, it's a not-for-profit, not to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but this isn't an entity that's out there trying to gain or benefit on the backs of its members. It is a member association. The members are effectively the owners. I don't want to speak out of school there, but effectively we are one. And I talked about it today at the event. We're a community. The community depends on one another. And if we've lost that, and if there are members out there who look at it as an us and them mentality, then again, that's where we need to get back to understanding that one exists because of the other, right? This is a joint approach where our members and this organization, I'm a member, like you said, right? Like, yeah, I'm sure you're exactly. Like we're all feeling the same things. We're all boots on the ground in our own way. And even when it gets to the staff of the organization, and I can tell you from being, I guess now, a conduit between members and a lot of the staff, they're here for the right reasons. They're making decisions that are thoughtful. Although, again, people won't like every decision that's made. That's fine. And they're entitled to that. But the amount of thought that goes into every decision for the members as priority and objective number one and only, I do see it's a narrative that needs to find its way back into the membership. They need to understand that this is an organization that is there for them and with them rather than against them or separate from them.
Okay, so we've always got noise, like we're always going to have noise about boards and politics and associations and all that stuff. But for those people that feel disconnected, what would you say to them?
First and foremost, what I said at the end of the town hall today, this was the last town hall, was that conversation's not over just because these events are over. We ran, a survey. We did over 60 focus groups and 3 town halls designed entirely to hear from members about not high fives and how great we're doing, but the opposite as much as possible. Like, take this opportunity to tell us what we can do better, to tell us what's working and what isn't working, the risks that you see out there, the experiences you're having, because the decisions that are made need to be informed by you. So to people out there who feel that we're not listening, the proof is absolutely in the pudding. So we've done the first step, and the members, a large number of them, have done the first step of taking us up on our offer and putting it out there. Now, at least in the short term, the move's back on us as TRREB and on the staff and on the board of directors to now say, here's what we heard. Tell all the members this happened so that people can see that we're not hiding behind corporate speak, which I don't. I mean, you know me well enough, but for those of you who haven't heard me, I don't read scripts. I speak from the heart and off the cuff, and I'm not afraid to have egg on my face, and I'm not afraid to show people the blemishes that we've got. But it's not enough to say, okay, we heard you, here's what's wrong. The step that logically follows that is, here's what we're going to do about it. So the move is on us right now to do both of those things. We're going to reiterate, document, summarize, communicate as best we can. Here's what we heard. And shortly thereafter, it's informing, at least in a tangible way, it's informing our 3-year strategic plan, which is a real living public document that will be the basis and the foundation of every decision that TRREB makes. And it's being informed by this consultation with our members. So I'm very happy that we got the engagement we did. I'm still a little, I don't know if upset's the right word, but it's troubling that out of 70,000 members, we still only heard from, call it 2,000 people total. It's a big number, and I've been told it's statistically significant. But this was and continues to be the opportunity for people to speak up rather than speak amongst themselves.
You know what? Right? It's funny. As you said that, the sort of, the ping pong ball in the brain fired, and I was like, wait a second. And I think about so many of the people, like I'm seeing the names that are popping up on the lives right now of like all the people that are tuning into the show, and I'm seeing some of the names, and I started thinking, I'm like different demographics, different psychographics, different. I mean, again, demographic age groups and all that stuff. Um, in my mind, I couldn't help think there. And again, this all happened up in a split second as he said this, but in my mind, I couldn't help think the fact that you're going to have some people that might have an opinion that might want to speak up, but might feel that something like a town hall was, and not to knock the idea of the town hall in any means. I think it's, again, there's a platform. It's a wonderful platform. Everybody's in a room.
Yep.
I think that I don't know how much better you can almost get with that. If it was like, hey, send us an email, I think, hey, you got something to say, go to the town hall. But I thought in my head, maybe there's people who go, oh, the town hall's not for me, or I'm really new to the business. I don't know if I should be saying anything. I don't know enough. So I think that there's going to be a reason why we don't hear from some people, and maybe they've put it into their own minds that maybe it's not a good question. I don't know enough. I haven't been around long enough. And I'm going to throw it out there and say, I think that that's the wrong way of thinking. I think that if you're here, and I'll put the words in your mouth, but obviously allow you to clarify those and say, if you're part of this membership as a TRREB, you're part of this room. You're part of the village.
Yep.
Right. Whether you've been here a long time or a short time, you're part of it. Speak up.
Yep. And you're not wrong. I mean, there are those who are in the room today who didn't want to speak up.
Right.
And they waited until the event was over to come up to me quietly and say, I've got these questions, but I didn't want to say it on the mic. And that's fair. We didn't want to, this wasn't meant to be a forum to embarrass or to call out opinions that might not be shared by the room. And it was the third step in a process. Like the survey was individual and it was anonymous, and it allowed us to collect feedback that informed the focus groups, which ultimately ended up being 3 or 4 people in a room. But to your point, emails, like, and I put it out there. I mean, people email me every day, and I myself respond to each and every one.
Wow.
So email, and it's just, email. Now you can email president@trreb.ca. That comes to me directly. Do that. The only caveat is, give me a little bit of grace that it might not be an hour, but it'll be a day that I get back to you. Give me a little bit of grace that I don't have all the answers, but I'll get it for you. And understand again that sometimes the answer isn't what you want to hear, but you deserve one. And to your point, there are genuinely no stupid questions, because in a community this big, there is always more than one person who shares the thought that you've got. And it's way better to address your concern and feel good about getting an answer than either stewing yourself and letting anger brew, or sharing it on social media with a group of people who probably don't have the answer, but they have their own answer that helps aggravate things. And we've seen it. If there's TRREB members, I know not your whole listenership are TRREB members, but last year at our annual meeting, for those who were there, that is the embodiment of frustration in a very unfortunate, but it was almost bound to happen form, where people don't feel heard, people don't think that we're listening or will give the answers, and it's a hopeless feeling that leaves the opposite of what you're saying, where people want the public forum to be angry. And while it's unfortunate that happened, and I don't condone it in any way, and I definitely don't invite it this year, let's all be friendly this year. Again, I understand that when people feel they don't have an outlet to give that feedback or to get answers in a constructive way, then they're going to take to whatever way they want to take to. So allow this to be just, again, a reiteration that I'm doing my best and the board's doing its best to put out as many outlets as possible for people to air their frustrations, share the good, that's good too, but we need to know where improvements should and can happen so that we can try to do it, right? If people are quietly frustrated with the attitude that no one's going to listen anyway, then yeah, no one's going to listen because you're not saying anything, right? Or if you're saying it amongst yourselves, it's important people know that, like, now, I'll be honest, the reason that I put my name in for president is because legally speaking, and with the bylaws, I am the spokesperson for this organization. It's a ton of work. It's a ton of hours. I've effectively put my business aside for the year, but I wanted the opportunity to speak directly with people and to have the conversations in a way that doesn't counter what the rules are. And I want to give the rest of the directors the same opportunity, right? As a director, I wasn't really able to engage because it has to go through the president. And there's reasons for that from a liability and all that perspective. I won't go down that road.
No, I get it. As you talked to this though last year, and because I know I was in the building, and I know where the frustration came from, or
Yep.
I know the energy that walked out of that, of frustration.
Mhm.
Did you feel more frustration today? Was there?
No.
Have we seen a change a little bit? Has there been any sense of accountability in that room now from membership? And again, I'm not.
Interesting.
I'm not trying to point fingers at members, at
No.
board members, at anybody. I'm saying we. Again, I'm going to say it one more time for the fifth time here. Like, we are the village.
Yep.
Right.
So it's interesting you ask if I saw accountability from the members. I mean, absolutely, the tone was amazing today, but it's but it depended on accountability from us as well. Right?
But of course, it's a two-way street.
Yeah. So I feel like someone had to make a blatant first move in this war. And I don't want to use that word in like, it wasn't a war, but you know what I mean? Like, there was too much frustration, and it was shared, that it just was necessary to put it out there consistently and over again until people started. And not everyone has come out of the woodwork, and not everyone is comfortable speaking, and that's fine. That's understandable. But again, we talked about the hard issues, all the things that frustrate people came up, and they got answers to all their questions today. And I think in doing that and creating a forum like that, everyone's guard was down. No one came asking a question nervous about being accosted for it. They were invited to throw tomatoes, and nobody did. Nobody
So
threw
the feeling was a lot different than the energy.
It was respectful. And again, two-way street. We as an organization need to show that respect to our members. We need them to feel like they're in a safe space to ask the question. And
it's a breath of fresh air, man.
Well, but it's to me, it's common sense. And I believe to most people it's common sense, but maybe not. And this is not, I guess I need to be careful. Like, I'm not trying to throw shade on any of my predecessors, because I think
absolutely not.
I know how hard a job, and I live it now. It's a lot to take on, and you need thick skin. But we've probably talked about this. I'm a big proponent of knowing how important you aren't as an individual. It's a title. I said at the beginning, I'm just a guy. Yep. We're all just members. And real estate, although it does put food on the table for a lot of us, it's not bigger than real life. And some of these issues, they are the most important thing in the world to somebody who's talking about it. So again, not to take that away from them, but if we all learn to take a step back and understand the big picture and start to just get normal about things, the things that piss people off, that set them off, the triggers that are the smallest of things, we need to start recognizing what we're actually arguing about here, because we're all trying to get to the same outcome. We're trying to earn a living. We're trying to make our profession more respected in the greater public, trying to have a good time and enjoy one another's company, right? We want our families to be healthy, all these things. So why will we die on the hill arguing on both sides about, take your pick, about whatever, about a bylaw change? And don't get me wrong, that was a very important thing last year, but I'm saying if there was something minor, people vote down the agenda at our AGMs to make a point. Like, okay. I mean,
if you could, for the town hall, for those that weren't in the room today, if you could kind of take one message away from that room and really send it out to everybody that is listening right now, what would it be?
We're on a good path.
Ooh, I like that.
The ship is turning. It's slow, but not in my wildest dreams did I believe that doing this would get us this far, at least with the people who have been showing up. I can't speak for people who are still on the fence.
But it's important that the people who are still on the fence, the people that weren't there, do hear this, so they understand the tone that's happening, so they understand. They're starting to, forgive me to people, well, maybe not forgive me. You're starting to alienate yourself when you do that. When you're like, well, still, I'm gonna stand here with the pitchfork and I'm still gonna hold my ground. Listen,
that's it. This is an invitation.
Communicate.
Put the pitchfork down. Have whatever conversation you want to have with us. We will have it with you. We're done talking at people, full stop. There's obviously things we know the members need to know. We heard that. Members want us to be leaders, right? That's not the message. We're not now all of a sudden going to be complacent or stop doing the work. But the conversation and the dynamic behind that is evolving. And I genuinely see it. There were people in that room who I believe came into the room with an axe to grind, and they left. People said verbatim to me, like this, they used the word refreshing, like amazing. That's good. All I want, right? And it's cliche to say if you can change one person's mind, but it's true.
It's true, man. It takes one at a time.
Just one at a time. And I told them all when I was there, I said, listen, this is great. You're here and you represent where we're trying to go, but go back to your brokerages. Tell your colleagues it's a safe space. It's a good spot to be in. If they couldn't make it, if they didn't want to come, if they didn't trust what it was going to be, if you want to wait to see the outcome before you pass your judgment, fair, right? Because we haven't come full, like all the way on this plan, but so far it's moving. And, I think when you're willing to be a little self-deprecating as an organization that people see as never that, it brings a lot of people's guards down, right? We're not God's gift to anything. No one is.
Honesty, transparency.
That's it.
You
gotta be honest, because if, and that's not to say TRREB's not the best real estate association on earth. I think it is. It's the largest. It represents a lot, but with that comes, like any city, a lot of things that are challenging and that you've got to tackle and that are going to make people upset, right? But that's the responsibility, and it becomes exponentially easier to take on that responsibility where everybody feels comfortable knowing what's going on, feels talked to, feels heard, and feels like they actually have the ability to share what they're feeling, and somebody's going to listen to them. So it's only been 3 months. I mean, I'm a quarter of the way into the term. Part of me is upset that it's only a year. Part of me is like, oh my God, it's only been 3 months.
Yeah.
How am I gonna make it?
Well, guess what? We it sounds like there was some real positives that came out of today. I know there's definitely been a bunch of positives that have happened so far over these past 90 days. And with that, we're taking the positive energy. We're rolling into a spring market. And we are rolling into Realtor Quest 2026. Mm-hmm. And that is exciting. Now, I know that there's some big stuff on the lineup, but I thought I'd, instead of me sharing, I'd ask you. First, is there a theme for this year?
It's the Greenspan show.
Like done. We're done.
Building
Thanks, everybody,
all
for tuning into the
you.
MindShare podcast. Have a nice day.
No, there is a theme, and what has informed the keynotes for sure, but the actual event itself is tied into what we've been talking about. It's about making connections, the idea of connection between each other as colleagues, again, getting back to a place where we all want to talk to each other and actually can get face to face, still in the aftermath of COVID, still among all of the, divisiveness that is society right now. Mm-hmm. We need to better learn how to communicate with one another. We need to build on that because we need to learn how to communicate with our clients and would-be clients. And just start to enjoy each other a little bit more. So making connections, building our networks, building our business because of it. What better place to do that than ground zero of the largest collection of realtors on earth at one time? Like you're going to see loaded, like north of 10,000 realtors in one place, and not just from Toronto. Nice. We've got now the largest contingent of international realtors who are coming to this, who are paying their way to see this show and to meet all of you as Toronto realtors who are looked at, this organization and our members are seen as the gold standard in this industry globally.
I can double down on that. I've had a bunch of international conversations, gratefully, lately, and we are looked at that way.
100%.
And we're talking like conversation with people overseas in big chairs, running big organizations. Yeah, just doubling down on what you just said. It's amazing to see it. You know, they really, I dare I use the word envy. They envy how organized we are. They envy how together everything is. And like you said, when you've got a city that big, naturally there's going to be things that also, you know, break, and it's just like anything else. So Dan, give us some highlights. What, I mean, you mentioned one of them earlier. I know.
Well, I have to open. I have to open with the opener is Mr. Dave Greenspan.
Hey, there you go.
Is going to grace us with his presence. We're happy to welcome you back, and
I'm excited.
You are going to, as you do, you are going to bring incomparable value to everyone who attends. So whoever's coming, I don't know which day or what time it is yet. I'm not sure. I don't know if you know. But I'm sitting in the very building where it's going to take place. But yeah, so we are going.
No, and thank you. We're honored to have that opportunity. We really are. It's the pinnacle of real estate shows, is the way I look at it. The amount of people that come from where they come from, the amount of you know, booths there are, new things you can learn, and how many different sessions and how many different speakers you guys bring. Like it truly is. If you're in the game of real estate, whether you're in Toronto or not, you need to be in the building for these few days. So, but you know, outside of, and I thank you for the accolades, outside of myself, I know we've got some serious headline speakers that are coming in.
Some serious and more to come too.
Oh, this is exciting.
But I can tell you, in a distant second to Mr. Greenspan, we have the former First Lady, Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama.
If she listens to this, she might cancel. I take it back.
I mean, she might say to Barack, move over, you know.
There you go. But the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, is there, and I'm happy. She was a topic of conversation, both positive and otherwise, with questions today at the town hall. I'm happy to address that here too for your listeners.
Yeah, talk to us.
So keynote speakers are not chosen by the board of directors. First of all, there's a lot of commentary out there that we chose. Most of the directors learned who the speakers were at the same time the members did, but It is a member comprised committee that I actually put this committee in place this year of people who I think represent a very wide cross section, to your point, of opinions, of demographics, of opinions, even of the event itself. People who have been critical in the past, people who love it. And the mandate that was given was the theme of the event, making connections. And in Miss Obama's case, who better than someone who's known as the closer, someone who has brought together divisive opinions. But the other thing that was a criteria for the committee was Canadian content. And I know that is that's a feedback that I've at least seen. No, a couple people did reach out to me directly, and I responded to them individually. But yeah, shocking as it is to believe, Michelle Obama's not Canadian. You don't get much less Canadian than the former First Lady of the United States. But in a roster of what I believe will be a dozen speakers, she is the only non-Canadian. This is a Canadian-focused event.
Cool.
With always an eye on being big, bringing in sponsorship dollars that pay for these speakers. So again, people talk about, where's my dues money going? Not to the speakers.
It's great that you brought that up. I know there was conversations about that last year with the final guest that was up there.
Yeah, entirely funded by sponsorship dollars. And part of the reason that big names, obviously we want to bring big names with great messages for the members as a benefit to them. But it also, as you can imagine, helps as a catalyst for increased sponsorship dollars when they see names like this at the event. So it is sort of chicken and egg. Our other keynote that has been announced, who to me is just a huge name, is Malcolm Gladwell.
Oh, I actually just learned that a few minutes ago when you brought it up. I didn't realize that.
It's
unbelievable.
Super awesome. So, I mean, best-selling author, Canadian, wrote The Tipping Point, Blink, Outliers. This is a mind that you don't want to miss, who speaks at such a you can understand it, but it's the smartest stuff you've ever heard level of how we interact with one
I
another.
can't wait to meet the guy. Like, and I know,
Oh,
like, you meet him, you say what's up, you say hello, but I just think, yeah, that's very cool for me. Like, to
he's
me,
just he'll be in
not
your
to downplay
brain.
Michelle and like what, like obviously just whatever where she's been or who she is, but Malcolm, yeah, that's like you just said it, the mind, the author, like it's you just listen, you learn, and you listen again, and you're like, oh my god, I didn't learn that the first time, I learned it the second time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's just
awesome.
it's genius stuff. So those two as keynotes
That's so cool.
are not real estate people, which is another comment we get, but I can tell you there is no shortage of focused real estate content at this conference. But part of the message is we want people to learn something, be inspired, be motivated, but with useful, still on topic content. And both Michelle Obama, Malcolm Gladwell, there are a couple more names that are still to be announced that I can't
okay.
yet. But Canadian. And above and beyond that, there's an ongoing slate. For those of you who haven't been to Realtor Quest, and shame on you, but welcome. Welcome. And
we
as
can't
Dave
wait
said,
to see you though.
It's only gonna be better. So don't worry.
And no guilt. We will hunt you down. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay. Plenty of room on the bandwagon. You're
so what do we want? Okay, so Realtor Quest happens. Fine, I'm coming. I'm going to be there. You know, what are we as a an organization? You know, and I say we, just the collective of us, even the folks that are involved, be it from the sponsors, the companies that come and put up booths, to the organizers yourself, and everybody on the board and the committee. What are we hoping that people walk away from Realtor Quest with actually feeling or thinking differently about?
I want people obviously to have a smile on their face, but optimism, I think a greater sense of they're in a profession they can be proud of, that they feel they have a place in, arguably a little bit more direction in their own careers. There's a ton that's going on, whether they're listening to you, whether they're listening to one of the other speakers, whether they're going to the seminars or even visiting trade show booths. If you can't find one or more sparks at this event to ignite your professional flame a little bit or a lot, then I don't want to say you're hopeless, but we haven't done our job. And I can tell you, we're putting everything in the kitchen sink in front of you. It is, as again, cliche, it's bigger and better than it's ever been. And it's been big.
It has gotten bigger. I think I said this to you last year. I said this to John last year. Last year was bigger and better than the year before, and I had said that the year before had already topped it off, because I think that was the first year we came back after everything, or maybe something like that. And it was huge, and I thought, wow. And then last year, you guys crushed it, man. And I know the team, and I obviously am having a lot of separate conversations about the organizing of it all. It's going to be amazing. Like, it's going to be super cool. And as you were saying that, it's like, if you can't this and that, maybe you're hopeless. In my head, it was like, then you weren't in the building.
Well, that's
like, if this doesn't happen, you were not there. So Dan, where can people go to, one, stay in the know about all the details, two, make sure that they basically either buy tickets or get their tickets or get registered or put their name in the hat? Like, where can people go right now so they can make sure that they are in the building for this event?
Yep.
And when's the event? What are the dates again?
May 13th and 14th.
There it is.
All day, both days. Come early, come often. Bring a sleeping bag. Don't bring a sleeping bag. That's a joke. Yeah, I mean, if you're a member, you've already received and will continue to receive emails that direct you straight to the event. If you're a member, when you get to the event, even if you haven't registered, you'll be able to sign in with your member number right there. But as you go to TRREB.ca and go to our website or through any different channel, you're going to find an endless array of opportunities to register ahead of time. It's preferred you do that, but you won't be turned away at the door if you didn't register. And again, as a TRREB member and as even a PropTech's client board member, you don't pay to come to this thing. So, I mean,
don't waste that opportunity.
Come for Dave, stay for the free pens, and stay even longer for Michelle Obama, right? There's so much. And another focus of the event this year that, we want to keep surprises around every corner, but we want this to be interactive throughout the day, not just on the stages, but the actual trade show floor, opportunities to do new things. We've had historically, live podcasts on the floor, but there's going to be more than that, more opportunity to engage, to share on social media, things like that. But yeah, we're just looking forward to a good time. It's a happy place, and it's an opportunity in a world that hopefully by then is starting to find its path, but it's sad out there for a lot of people. This is designed to be just a happy time for people to get with each other again. So if it's the only thing you come to this year, make it that. Engage, get involved, and then give us feedback so that we can make it even better in 2028 or whatever it is, 2027.
So again, doubling down on that, just remind everybody, make sure that you do get yourself pre-registered. I would say from experience, make sure that you get there early. Parking is fun sometimes. Lineups are fun to get in, and things just take time. And when you got that many people moving through a building, things take time, and if you're going to show up and you're going to do it just in time to see like the big headliners, you're going to be stuck in traffic. And we know that anything in life, is about preparation. And 99% of the time that we lose or we fail is probably just because we were ill prepared. Not that we can control every outside factor. We can certainly, though, control what we do with our time. So a recommendation to everybody on that. Dan, as I roll into sort of these last few questions here, and I got so much I wanted to get into with you today, and I know you and I, every time we get talking, like it can go on for hours and hours, and there's good. I mean, truth be told, between the two of us, we know it. There's always amazing, constructive conversation. Today was very much about that, very pointed with our industry. But as I fast forward, Dan, and we kind of look at 9 more months. And we say that here we are today in front of a live audience and we are talking. But this is, the next day. It's done. You are now past president. Term is done. You have really worked hard, which I know you're doing and will continue to do. And I know a lot of people in this industry obviously have confidence in you to do that. You will give everything you got over these next 9 months. When that term is done, what do you want people to say about how you showed up in this role?
Honestly, before I took the role, I mean, everybody uses words like impact. They want to have that big legacy thing, that big win that they had. If people are saying that the ship was righted over the course of this year, that's the win for me.
Winning.
Right? It doesn't need to be a tangible outcome. I mean, I'm going for tangible outcomes, and it depends on how quickly I've got the confidence that we're clearly on a path where we've got the members behind us. But I want to leave behind an environment where votes at AGMs can happen without the board and the organization chattering their teeth about whether or not there's any hope of things going to pass that's needed, right? I want this to be a community again of people that trust one another and are voting in people and knowing that there's an organization behind them that's doing things in their best interest, which is the case. But I want to get us to a place where 70,000 people believe in that, because there will just be exponential growth for all of us when we get there, not if we get there. Like I see it. I told you today was so comforting for me. Were there angry people today? Sure there were. Did they leave content? I think so. And I think that's what we need more of. That's what, if it's the next 9 months and beyond. I mean, I'm still on the board next year as past president, like you said. So I'm not going to just put blinders on come December 31st. This is also April Fool's, so I might have lied to you with everything I've said since this podcast started. Right at the end, I'm going to be like,
you used the word comforting a moment ago, and I was about to say everybody's probably feeling really comfortable with you.
Just kidding. Just kidding. But yeah, no, it sounds so fluffy, and an older version of me would be like, "You're so full of shit, man."
Nah,
like,
man.
Why,
you know what?
like,
though?
why are you dropping all this like fluffy stuff? But it's what we need, and it's the win that I'm going for this year, and I think that's more impact than any one decision could make.
Listen, that's part of the backup, though, I'm going to throw at that is that one, that everybody understanding should feel a little bit more comfort for where your head is at. Two, taking away what we've talked about with this village concept throughout today's show, empathy, right? And understanding not everything is going to be perfectly the way you want it. Not everything, not and not you, Dan. I'm talking to the membership now.
Right.
Not everything is going to go exactly how you want. It's not all going to fall in your cards just because you want it to. There's going to be things that you're not happy with. If we can come away from all of this going, you know what, we have been heard, and we can see that there's the right head on the shoulders, and we are working together, and just the culture of what's happening begins to change. In my mind, that's a win, and I got zero doubt in my mind. Again, knowing where you're coming from, that's going to happen, and it already seems to be taking place. So this is a special thing, man, and I congratulate you on all that so far, and I wish you the best of luck on the rest of it. I have no doubt it's going to continue moving forward that way. When you've got people telling you how they feel good walking out of there, they're not looking to, again, pitchfork people.
Yeah.
That's a positive. And for people on the other end to understand, it's going to take time. Whatever that line is about a ship, and it takes, however much time to turn the ship, or whatever
Right.
that line is.
It's
Tall ships don't move fast or something. I don't know.
Loose
It's going to take
lips.
time, but people need to understand that. What would you say to anybody who says, I can't?
That's a good question. I get frustrated with people who say I can't. It's a pet peeve of mine. I can't, I don't have the time. It's too hard. And I don't want to get on my high horse here, but I'm going to for a second. For those who don't know, 2 years ago, I had triple bypass surgery as a 42-year-old guy who was seemingly healthy. And that was, for me, as you could imagine, pretty life-altering, right? Puts, again, as we talked about before, it puts what's important into perspective. And I think for those people out there who want to take the easy road out with can't, don't think of what I just said about, like, you don't need to get that deep. I think you need to think about the opportunity cost of not trying. Because an opportunity that you don't take is a part of your life you're missing out on. And I don't care how small the thing is. I have tried, especially in the last 2 years, to not say no wherever I can afford to not say no to everything. If things seem too hard, if things seem too expensive, whatever. If they're not what I agree with, I was an accountant by trade. I didn't want to be an accountant, right? Like, I was a marketing student, I thought, because I wanted to make commercials and I wanted to be creative. But I took a leap of faith into accounting, and then I took a leap of faith into a football team, which was a pay cut, but it was an opportunity. And I did it, and it led to great things. We need to be more willing to take the leap, even though it's scary, and ask ourselves, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? If the worst thing that could happen is I fail, who cares, right? If the worst thing is I don't like it, you've learned something about yourself and you won't do it again. But at least now you won't be left with this forever feeling of I never tried, and can't leads to I won't, or can't leads to I never tried, and it leads to regret down the road. So just ask yourself if it's really can't, or if it's won't, or if I'm scared, and just give yourself a little slap in the back of the head. Talk to someone you trust, look at your kids, think about your health, think about whatever is going to drive your why to get off your ass and do whatever it is, right? And that is what I would say to can't.
That's a
Unscripted.
That's great. Great answer. Really great answer. Your day's over. It's not over yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. Not April Fools. You're just starting. Actually, you got to get to your town hall right about now.
Yeah.
Day's over. Kids are sleeping. You and your wife have hung out, and you've done your thing, and it's time to lay your head down at night. How do you know it's been a successful day for you?
One win makes it a successful day. But it is a problem I've got with satisfaction. I'm very hard to be satisfied. So quite honestly, I know it's sort of metaphorical, but most nights when I do go to bed, I ask myself the same question. And the story I tell myself is I could have done more every night. What didn't I do? What did I miss? What do I need to get to first thing in the morning that I could have done more of today? And I think in some sense that's motivating. In some sense, it's a real bad habit because we need to celebrate the wins. I think that's something that we don't do enough of. And so when you talk about what should be satisfying is just moving the needle on one thing each day and being able to reflect on something that was a win. And if I can't look back on my day and say that I did anything productive, and hopefully that's not the case. There's enough going on and there's enough of a deliberate approach to my days that things do get accomplished. For me, I mean, I finally fall asleep when I have some contentment, just reflecting on this was a win. I set out to do this and it's done, or at least the ball moved a little bit on this. But it's the same thing we tell our agents at the brokerage. I mean, you need to set small goals along the way and not just focus on the outcome, or you're going to go crazy, right? And so the small wins are what drive me day to day and to hopefully help me sleep most nights.
I say it often, progress over results.
Yep.
It's got to be progress over results. I would also say that as much as I've said nobody bats 1,000, I am currently batting 1,000. I have asked that question hundreds of times, and not anybody ever brings up money. To everybody tuned in, let that one sink in.
Yep.
Dan, what final words or wisdom do you have for us as we close out that you want to send out to everybody in general right now as we close out this episode?
Loaded,
very loaded. I know. And listen, you have shared a ton today. It's been an amazing show. A lot of great insights. And I know I would say that if people just go back and listen to the whole show, you'll hear all the words of wisdom. I guess I'm looking for that sort of closing statement, maybe closing remark, just anything you want to share out.
Have more faith in yourselves. Have more faith in other people. Don't be a stranger with me or with each other. I think we talked about AI technology. Make an effort to connect with one person each day and have a real conversation. Doesn't have to be for business, but to keep your mind moving, to keep you sane, to keep you positive. And as we've talked about, I mean, you need to develop your empathy. I do. It's an ongoing, I think, opportunity we have to even enjoy life more, enjoy each other more. And the more we take the time to actually listen to one another and put ourselves in each other's shoes, the better off we will be selfishly. I feel better the more I get to know other people, the more I give them an opportunity to vent. Now, that's not an invitation for everybody to blow down my email with complaints and anger. But I think, to go back to, for me, the biggest wins are when I can get somebody's mind to look at something a little bit differently, or my mind is able to look at something a little bit differently. Those are like big shifts. Doesn't matter what the issue is. I think when somebody comes in hot and leaves lukewarm, that's a huge win, right? Because the next time I'll talk to them, things will be even better, right? And it's chipping away at the trust that we have for one another. So everybody out there, just focus on the good. Try to, for at least a little bit each day, put your blinders on to all the bullshit that's out there and try to live in your own world and try to experience somebody else's for the good. And I think if everybody just did that a little bit, it's again really fluffy, but we'd be on a much better path. And I think we're getting there. I'm really optimistic with what I've seen for the last 3 months in our little village of TRREB. But we've got a long way to go. We just got to keep plowing forward. And everybody reach out to me through, again, president.ca. Yep. Or, I mean, if you want to reach out to me in more of a social, not professional sense, I mean, come find me on Instagram. put fun stuff there. It's never anything professional on there. At Steinfeld Says is my handle on there. And I feel like I'm one away from like a some number of 1,000 milestones. So whoever that person is, you get a free ice cream at McDonald's, or something.
I can't do it. I'm already doing it. I'm already there.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think, like, honestly, just don't be a stranger out there. Come find me. I'm easier to find now than I have been in the past, and just talk to one another. Let's start building relationships again, because that's what makes people happier and makes real conversation happen in a world of technology.
Well, we cannot thank you enough, Daniel. It has been absolutely amazing. I know, coming off the town hall you had this morning, an absolutely loaded day of speaking, thinking, doing. I do very much personally recognize how exhausting that can be when you're on for hours on end. In saying that, this has been incredible conversation. I think we've gone deep on a lot of different topics. I think we've been very transparent. People have had the opportunity to hear from you, get to know you better, understand what your direction is, for the board and for the industry. And I think that, again, knowing that you come from the heart, so much of what was said today was absolutely crucial. And now I say to everybody listening, now it's on you to put this into action. Every single one of you, every single one of us. I say it like that. So a big thank you to you, my friend. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the MindShare podcast today.
I appreciate you, and I look forward to hearing more from you at Realtor Quest and before.
I cannot wait, and I thank you once again. And I want to remind everybody, make sure you are in that building. It is going to be an incredible, incredible event. Mr. Steinfeld, Mr. President, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
So I want to leave everybody with this right now, okay? This business at its core, it's never been about the market. It's always been about the people. And somewhere along the way, it does feel like the industry, the people within it, have forgotten that. It started to turn into transactions. It started to turn into money. It started to turn into waiting and hoping. But we've just heard it here. Right. We just had a real awesome conversation about this, that trust is not built when things are necessarily easy, but it's built when people are transparent, when people have real conversations, and we're able to see what other people are seeing, so that we can open our minds, open our eyes to what is possible. It's built when you pick up the phone, even when you don't feel like it. And I continue to press on people about that. It's built when, you stop trying to sell people on making a move in real estate, when this really is, and as Daniel said, the biggest transaction of somebody's entire life. This is their life. It's built when we show up for people with value, without our own personal agenda. But what can we do to help others? And that's the game. That's the game of sales. That's the game of real estate. That's the game of life. And if you are struggling right now, maybe it's a lack of opportunities, maybe the market. But I'm going to ask you: are you having enough real conversations with people? Are you getting out there and doing what you need to do? I mean, let that sink in. I've seen it time and time again over the decades I've been in this business. The people that are winning are the people that continue doing the stuff that is not, exciting. It's monotonous. It can be challenging to your own mindset. It can make you feel down when you're not getting the answers you want. But the question is, who are you being right now in your business? What are you doing to show up every single day? Because that's the person people are going to remember. Okay. That's what's going to make you more successful. That's what's going to help you build trust. And that is what drives everything in this business. So look, you all know how I say it. I like to be straight up. I like to be real. Today was a very, very awesome conversation. I try not to complicate things, instead try to simplify them by being very straightforward about stuff. It doesn't, require a lot of intention, but it does require a lot of effort. And it requires doing what most people won't do. Daniel's doing it. I know I'm doing it. And we certainly hope that you got a lot of insights from today's episode. A quick reminder and a shout out for Realtor Quest 2026. Again, this May, it is 2 full days. If you are serious about your business, be in that building, get in the room, connect, learn, communicate, and then actually do something with all of it. Anyhow, I'm David Greenspan, reminding you to build the MindShare, because the MindShare equals market share. As always, a big thank you to Kits and REM for sponsoring this episode of the MindShare podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you all next week.